Have you ever watched someone twist your words until you're the villain? Have you ever felt like you're walking on glass while they stand smiling, untouched? What if the only way to win is not to fight, but to stop playing their game? This isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming the power they never wanted you to realize you had. This is beneath the cortex. And these are 9 subtle ways to disarm a narcissist. Most people misunderstand narcissism. They imagine arrogance, charm, or someone obsessed with their reflection. But true narcissism runs deeper. It's not confidence. It's a hollow craving to be seen as superior, no matter the cost. When a narcissist can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you. The power lies in understanding their patterns and responding in a way that starves their ego without feeding your pain. Narcissistic traits are often born from early wounds. Research suggests that pathological narcissism may stem from a fractured sense of self, sometimes formed in childhood environments, where emotional needs were either excessively praised or chronically dismissed. To survive, the narcissist builds a false self, a mask of perfection, dominance, or brilliance. But masks are fragile. And when you learn how to stop reacting the way they expect you to, the mask begins to crack. Stay neutral when they bait you. Narcissists feed off emotional chaos. They provoke reactions, anger, defensiveness, tears, not because they're seeking truth, but because it confirms their power. When you remain calm, when your tone is measured, when you respond without emotion, they lose control of the script. Imagine a narcissist accusing you of being ungrateful after you set a boundary. Instead of defending yourself, you simply say, "I hear you." No apology, no escalation, just quiet presence. They may push harder, sensing the usual bait isn't working. But the moment you stop feeding the drama, you start starving the dynamic. The most unnerving thing you can give a narcissist is silence after they expect chaos. Use strategic vulnerability. Narcissists love to expose your weaknesses, but only if they feel like they're one step ahead. If you disclose something vulnerable on your terms, it disarms their ability to weaponize it later. Tell them something personal, but frame it with calm ownership. For example, say in the past I struggled with overthinking, but I've worked hard to recognize those patterns. It creates the illusion of openness without granting them leverage. Narcissists thrive on asymmetry. They want your truth while hiding theirs. But when you're unapologetically aware of your flaws, you take away their favorite weapon. A confident confession leaves nothing left to exploit. Mirror their words. Narcissists often twist conversations to make you question your memory or judgment, a tactic known as gaslighting. One way to disrupt this pattern is to repeat their words back to them, exactly as they said them. If they say, "You never support me," calmly reply, "You're saying I never support you." This technique does 2 things. It forces them to hear their own exaggeration. It puts the spotlight back on their claims without adding fuel. Over time, this technique builds a wall of clarity between you and their chaos. You're not arguing. You're reflecting. And mirrors are powerful tools when someone fears being seen. Avoid giving them titles. Don't call them a narcissist. Don't diagnose them. Don't label the behavior. Even if you're right, the moment you confront a narcissist directly with clinical language, the dynamic becomes a battlefield. Labels give them a new role to play. The misunderstood victim. Instead, describe behaviors without attaching identity. Say when the conversation turns, "I feel blamed," instead of "You're gaslighting me." The subtle shift protects your reality without triggering their defenses. Narcissists can't be disarmed through accusation, only through ambiguity. You don't need them to admit who they are. You just need to stop pretending they aren't. Interrupt the reward cycle. Narcissists are addicted to control, but control only works when it gets a payoff. When you stop validating their manipulation, when you don't chase them during a silent treatment, or when you don't argue when they twist the facts, you break the cycle. For example, if they suddenly withdraw affection after a disagreement, don't plead or explain. Let them sit in the silence they created. This creates an internal dissonance for the narcissist. They expect panic. They expect pursuit. But when you no longer respond on cue, the script breaks. And without control, the illusion of power begins to collapse. Use time as a boundary. Narcissists demand immediate engagement. They expect instant reactions, impulsive decisions, and emotional outbursts, because urgency favors their control. Instead, build and delay. When they send a heated message or demand an answer, say, "I'll think about it and get back to you." This one sentence shatters their timeline and puts you back in control. It gives you space to regulate your emotions, and it denies them the chaos they crave. In relationships built on pressure, time is the ultimate act of defiance. Stillness, not speed, is how you reclaim your clarity. Respond with facts, not feelings. Narcissists love to make everything personal, but what unsettles them is emotional detachment. If they say, "You never do anything right," instead of defending yourself emotionally, respond factually. "I submitted the report ahead of deadline. Let me know what's missing." This bypasses their ego trap and forces the conversation into neutral territory. The moment you make their attack about logic instead of identity, they lose footing. Feelings can be distorted. Facts are harder to bend. Narcissists don't fear anger. They fear indifference, wrapped in truth. Don't reveal your strategy. One of the most effective ways to disarm a narcissist is never letting them know you re-disarming them. Keep your methods subtle. Don't post cryptic quotes online. Don't tell mutual friends what you're really doing. Narcissists monitor perception like currency, and if they sense they're being outmaneuvered, they'll escalate. Quiet resistance is safer than public defiance. Play your cards close. Power doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's the person who simply refuses to be moved. Exit with dignity, not destruction. If you choose to walk away from a narcissist, do it cleanly. Don't burn the bridge. Don't unleash a final truth bomb. Don't hope for closure. Just step back, disengage. Cut off the energy supply without ceremony. This is the final disarmament. Showing them that they are no longer your obsession, your problem, or your responsibility. Nothing disrupts a narcissist's ego more than realizing they no longer matter to the one they once controlled. So how do you protect yourself without becoming like them? You learn to respond instead of react. You separate your worth from their approval. You stop trying to explain yourself to someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. Power doesn't always mean dominance. Sometimes it means knowing when to be still, when to walk, when to stop performing for an audience that was never going to clap. You set boundaries not as punishment, but as protection. Not to change them, but to keep yourself intact. The goal isn't to defeat the narcissist. The goal is to no longer be vulnerable to their games. You protect your energy not by building walls, but by building discernment. Learning to see manipulation in real time and choosing not to dance with it. And most of all, you stop hoping for validation from someone who uses affection as a weapon. You give that validation to yourself. Slowly, quietly, daily. Some people survive by taking control. Others survive by learning to never need it. Protect your energy. Stay curious. Subscribe for more from Beneath the Cortex.